YouTube. It is I, Conrad Cushman, here with episode 2 of Everything Pro Wrestling. This episode is dedicated to the legend Iron Mike Sharpe. My condolences go out to him and his family for the loss of the great pro wrestler. Tonight on our show, we have two special guests. Our first guest from New York City, Nelson Bala. Say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's up, man?
All right, and our second guest, he is no stranger to the entertainment world. Famous rapper Doc G from PM Dawn. Doc, tell him what's up.
I'll tell you what's up. I got my autographed Stone Cold Steve Austin, dog. That's the bottom line, because Doc G said so.
That's what I'm talking about. Real wrestling fans talking real wrestling issues. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. First thing on our docket for tonight, we're going to talk about Raw from last night. Monday Night Raw started off with the intro from Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, and the League of Nations. What did you guys think of that? That whole setup and how they built into it and everything. Go ahead, Bala, kick it off.
I apologize. I thought it went pretty well. Roman, still, his mic skills aren't the best, but they're not the worst. Yeah. It doesn't, I love Jericho, but it doesn't seem like he gets the same pop he used to get. Like, the people just aren't feeling Jericho, man. I don't know.
Last time we spoke, I don't know. Does Jericho feel outdated, maybe? I don't know. Maybe he's a little corny.
I gotta say this, all right? It's not that Chris Jericho is outdated. It's just that Jericho, for lack of a better term, jacking off us Jericho-holics and making us think that he's going to make a serious push and actually do something substantial, only so he can get squashed by a New Jack and then go back on tour with Fozzy, is played out.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the fans know the game that he's going to play and what he's going to do, what he's going to say. It's become very cliche.
But how is he going to return, too?
Set us up. Washed.
Every other year he returns like twice. It's like...
Yeah, he does do a lot of returns. I think that I think he likes having the surprise element of you don't know when he's going to come back. And he's doing the right thing for a lot of the guys. I'm not faulting Jericho or saying anything bad about him. I just think that Chris Jericho could rebrand himself or make sure he's going into WWE for a full year while maybe working on some music for Fozzy and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe he just needs something to reinvent himself a little bit or change it up just a little bit.
Tell somebody what to do with their life. But, because at the end of the day, we're all a bunch of geeky fans that just love these guys, right?
Of course.
Well, my whole perspective on it is that, when Y2J came out, I mean, dude made me change the whole way I rock dreads. It's like, before Y2J, cats with dreads wasn't rocking that one up top and letting it hang on the bottom. I was rocking it like that with the Motorhead chop, shout to Lemmy, rest in peace, you know what I'm saying? So that was my whole steez in the early 2000s. And it's like, and then you see this guy and it's like, the most devastating thing about him is a sparkling jacket that he bought out of the Burlington Coat Factory.
Yeah, Jericho is a tough sell. But even main thing that upsets me in this whole segment is Roman Reigns looked weak this week. I don't understand how 1 week Roman Reigns is a strong competitor and someone you want to cheer for, and then the next week Roman Reigns it looked like he completely forgot how to be a tough guy. I don't know if it's creative or what it is.
Wyatt looks strong, and I like that because they've been just shitting on Bray Wyatt. And the fact that Roman speared Brock twice, usually they don't let guys get over on Brock like that. But the fact that they let him, that made him look pretty strong.
Yeah. Well, you're jumping to the end now. I'm looking at Raw from this overall show and how it's going to flow. So I'm still at the beginning segment here with Jericho and Reigns, and then the League of Nations come out. And the League of Nations is just a faction of nothingness. They're not going to accomplish anything. And I just feel like it's the biggest waste of time for all of them. It just seems like a bunch of mid-card guys they don't know what to do with.
It honestly
put Sheamus in the mid card. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but I hate when people put Sheamus in the mid card. Sheamus is the most underrated superstar in the business. Okay, the guy can go, and nobody gives him props. He's just one of those guys that he gets hurt like everybody else, but he gets hurt less than everybody else. Something to be said about busting your ass in the gym and working out with Hunter or something, but it's paying off for him.
I'm not saying these guys aren't main eventers, Greg. I think that it's mainly the way that they are, how do I want to put this? The way they are portrayed on television, I have a big problem with. They are not made to look like stars. And I feel that Sheamus is a good wrestler. I have no problem with his in-ring work. It's his outside character that it's hard to get invested in or hate him or care about him at all. When he comes on, he gets that X-Pac heat from a lot of people, like the go away, I don't want you here. Wade Barrett you feel horrible for. Rusev is kind of since John Cena beat him, and the only thing that they care about is Lana. So Rusev to me is modern-day Mark Merrow. And Alberto Del Rio,
Half those guys all are victims of Cena. Wade Barrett should have been champion.
We're victims of Cena. Who isn't a victim of him? I like the guy, but...
the John Cena's holding me back thing is kind of old now. I mean, how's he holding anybody back when he's off making TV shows and stuff right now? You know, if I was running right now, I would be nervous as hell because this was the pay-per-view that ruined my initial push toward the belt. And so I'm nervous, and that's probably what he's going through. So when people are saying, oh, his mic skills and all of that, I'm trying to walk a mile in his shoes right now. I think a little nervous, got some butterflies. Hopefully, The Rock will stay far the fuck away from the Royal Rumble this year. And whatever happens, let this dude deal with it on his own throughout WrestleMania season.
Absolutely.
I honestly think this whole Rumble is just going to be a make Roman look strong kind of match. And I don't want the Rumble to be the Roman show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get your point. We'll move on to the next segment because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of time to get back into the overall theme of this. The next thing we had was a little interaction with Stephanie and Jericho backstage. It was nice. It was cool to go a little old school. I didn't see too much happening there. We have Natalya versus Brie Bella next. Natalya versus Brie Bella. That match, how long do you guys think that match was? 3 minutes?
It was about 3 minutes.
I don't think that's enough time for these females to get over. I mean, that's the big difference with the NXT brand of divas and the WWE Raw brand of divas. Like, for some reason, they can't get the amount of time that they need to get over. And I feel like that was a prime example of past problems. You
know what I mean? Because every show, some matches get cut. And I feel they don't think too highly of the divas. And I think that's the problem.
On the main roster. There's a big disconnect between Triple H's vision of NXT and Vince McMahon's vision of WWE. I mean, what do you think, Greg?
I think, first of all, the word diva needs to go away. I mean, in my mind, when it comes to pro wrestling, the word diva is like the N-word of wrestling. It needs to go away and be abolished. Okay? That's first off. Second off, and this is when it comes to Brie Bella, when did Brie Bella become the Ashley Jones of women's wrestling? Am I right? When did Brie Bella become the Ashley Jones of women's wrestling? I'm so sick of Brie Bella. All she does is yell. When you hear her yell Brie mode, you know, this bitch is about to lose, and I'm tired.
Yeah, I just don't feel they have enough time, and I agree with you about the word diva. That word needs to go away. I think it has a negative connotation when I hear it anyway. When you think of talking to girls in the club, if I hear, oh yeah, she's a diva, I don't like it. I don't think that's
probably in the 90s.
Yeah, that's nothing flattering that you want to hear. What was the next segment here? We have the Wyatt family defeating Dudley Boyz and Ryback. This match wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't really anything too great. You're getting cut off a little bit, Bala. That match wasn't anything too great, in my opinion. I mean, it puts over the Wyatt family, which is a positive. It was just kind of there.
And they really need that because, like, this past Raw, I felt they really put the Wyatts over. And that's honestly what they need right now, or they might as well just, let them go.
Exactly.
They're using them.
All right, man.
I think it's huge right now.
I don't even like the whole. People are going to criticize me for this, but I'm sick of them trying the Undertaker gimmick on this guy. I mean, when is anybody going to accept the fact behind creative? I mean, we're talking about the son of Mike Rotunda, the nephew of Barry Windham, the grandson of the great, outstanding Blackjack Mulligan. How the hell do you... I know you got to create these stupid gimmicks, but I'm like, this guy should have been World Heavyweight Champion 2 years ago, in my opinion. I'm just like, that's the guy on. I mean,
So do you think it's the gimmick that's holding him back?
Sometimes I feel like the gimmick is holding him back. I'm like, nobody cares about him being evil. All they care about is that he's dope and you get to hold up your cell phone flashlight when his music plays. Nobody cares about him being evil. Nobody cares about him being the new face of fear. They just want to see him kick ass and the end.
I mean, personally, I like the gimmick. I feel he plays it very well. He speaks very well. All he needs is just creative management, whoever is to push him. That's all he needs is like a good push. He needs to get the fans. He just needs to win more, and that's it.
I'll offer my piece real quick on Bray Wyatt overall. Bray Wyatt, I think, is a great character from the way it started out. Bray Wyatt has to stay on his tirades. When I think of Bray Wyatt, I think of, have you guys ever seen the movie Red State? If you haven't, check it out. It's on Netflix. It's a Kevin Smith movie, and when you go and look at Red State, the priest that is in Red State is what I think Bray Wyatt's character is. He is spewing all this stuff that people think, and you wouldn't think that it's portrayed as evil or madness, but when that character is showing it, it is evil and madness, and that's what he's trying to create. I like it. I think it works for him, but I just think Bray Wyatt, like Bala said, needs big wins. He has never won any big-time matches that he's needed to win where you're like, oh, they book him in these lose-lose situations. Like, if Undertaker loses, this happens, and if Bray loses, this happens. And it's always, well, Bray's going to lose to whoever it is. And I really don't like that he's always in those types of situations.
What should have happened was Bray Wyatt should have broke the streak, then Undertaker go away for 5,000 months, and then let Bray Wyatt shoot lightning bolts because it would have been more meaningful. And they got everything running ass to the backwards.
I hear you on that opinion. Well, let's jump into this next segment real quick. They had the Big Show versus Heath Slater. I don't even know what to say about this.
I like that stable, man. What are they? The Social Outcasts? I like them.
Yeah.
Slater is great. Heath Slater's the man, first of all, because he just owns anything they give him.
Heath Slater reminds me of a awesome, I don't know how to put it, like one of those job guys from back in the day, but you just like them.
It's like a modern-day Job Squad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you love him, you have to.
Yeah, I think he's excellent overall, but where was I here? The Big Show basically squashed this guy in the match. I really wasn't a fan of what they did here. And later on in the show, we're going to talk about the tweet that got someone in trouble regarding this match as well. But we'll stay in for that one. You get a little segment with Stephanie in the League of Nations after that. Nothing too much. Stephanie stirring the pot. It really didn't mean anything. We jump into the next thing was the Royal Rumble entry. Basically, the segment we all knew was coming where Vince McMahon and Stephanie are out there, and they have the Tumblr and the Royal Rumble numbers in there. Or the names, and Roman Reigns was on every name going in. So I guess basically I'm going to ask you from a creative standpoint. Is Roman Reigns, number one, the right move? Would you have left it alone? What do you guys think about that?
You go first, Bala.
Okay. Well, I feel it's the right move. I just feel that's going to make the whole... I don't know. because, like I said, they're gonna try to make the Rumble the Roman show, and they're gonna have him try to look strong. He's probably gonna eliminate the first couple of people, I think. But like I said before, my pick to win the Rumble is Triple H. So I think they're gonna have him, do like a Kane and just eliminate like a whole bunch of people. Then eventually he's gonna get tired. Triple H is gonna come down. I think it might come down to Triple H and Roman as the last two, and Roman's already gonna be tired, and Triple H is gonna toss him over the top.
You know what would make sense, but they don't got the guts to do it? What if Triple H did come out, and while Roman was popping shit to him while he's outside the ropes, Dean Ambrose throws his ass over and becomes the new face of the Authority?
I don't think they'd go that route. He's too over as a face right now.
So wouldn't it?
They're really trying to build him up.
That would be something different and creative for them to do as far as creative goes. That would be something I'd like to see them try and do. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the right move at this moment now. I mean, at Survivor Series, I could have seen something like that happening. Now I'm like, I don't know if you can go that route.
I think that'd be the right move, to be honest.
Ambrose and Roman Reigns on camera together, it's like the new Geico commercial. You're right, protein shake. Geico helps save money on car insurance. That's how it feels when two of them together in any moment. And I'm like, they gotta break that shit up. It's too much. I mean, even Macho and Hogan, Macho and Orndorff. Hogan and Orndorff weren't so ridiculous as Roman and Dean are. They gotta find a way to create some heat there and carry it to Mania.
Yeah, they gotta find a creative direction and kind of stick with it. They're in a lot of trouble, I feel, for Mania. They're hurting, but I don't know. Last year I didn't think the Mania card looked strong, but then once I watched the show, I was like, that was a pretty good show. They pulled it off well, so we're going to have to see what they can put together. The next match was Becky Lynch versus Tamina. Overall, I'm going to give a quick note on Becky Lynch. I think has been an amazing standout. Watching her speak on the mic.
I like her, but her finisher looks weak, man. That arm submission, it looks like weak as hell.
I mean, I'd see that as a practical submission. I mean, if you're getting your arm pulled back like that, you're going to tap out. You're not going to be like, yeah, break my arm, go ahead. I like the move. I think she stood out on the microphone, too. I like that she called out Charlotte for a lot of things. She did the little smart mark crowd stuff and said, oh, you never use your dad's popularity or use your dad's name to get where you are. I mean, I appreciate that from the aspect that they tried to make the match mean something, and then she had Rick accept the challenge for her. I don't know. I think Becky Lynch has something here. Greg, what do you think?
This is my take on it. I feel like Nas, when he's addressing Jigga on the second verse of Ether, where he goes, oh, I get it. You, Biggie, and he's Puffy. I'm looking at Becky, and as Nas, and I'm looking at her going, oh, I get it. You Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, and she's Ric Flair. It's like, I see the roles. It's like how time history repeats itself. This was Nature Boy Buddy Rogers' role for Rick for a short while, and then you see what I mean? It's weird to me, and I'm like, and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, damn, this guy, it's cool that he's putting himself out there, but at the same time, I'm like, the chick was doing all right by herself before Daddy couldn't leave the spotlight alone. I'm like, just maybe, could she not be a heel that walks around the ring screaming, no, for 45 minutes and actually kick somebody's ass? I mean, she's already a better athlete than he's ever been by his own admission. And, I'm like, maybe they could have let her be a different type of heel, a more narcissistic in your face, like, I don't need the cheat, bitches. I can just kick your ass heel, She could have been like a female Rock the way she's going before he came back.
Yeah, absolutely.
How she is and everything, I mean, they don't really have a heel like that at the moment, and I feel she fits that spot. You know what I mean?
The Ric Flair role, and I think her dad's there to teach her things as well. I mean, I think there's always more to it than he's just coming out there for the paycheck with her. I think he's on the road trying to teach other people, like, okay, this is what you do when you're a heel.
Like, he's like teaching her, like, Because, he's the dirtiest player in the game. So he's out there giving his daughter a few pointers, you know what I mean?
I just can't tell if he's the dirtiest player or just a dirty old man now. I get paid to look at these women all day. Woo! It just cracks me up.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being Slick Rick. He's always in style. What was the next match? Oh, Sheamus and Del Rio versus Dean Ambrose and Kalisto. Sheamus and Del Rio got the victory here. And I don't, for the love of me, I just don't understand sometimes why Dean Ambrose and these guys have to lose every single week. It's just,
what it is.
Watch Dean Ambrose for the 32nd time.
Go ahead, Bala. Hold on, you guys are cutting each other off. Go ahead, Bala.
I think what it is they're trying to get the League of Nations over. But I'm liking what Kalisto's doing. I thought he was just gonna be like another generic luchador, kind of like Sin Cara, But Kalisto's made a believer out of me, man. I think he has a future in the WWE.
Kalisto is very hit or miss, very spotty in his matches. Like I said, his match is either going to be perfect or you're going to see lots of mistakes and notice a lot of them. But I noticed that on NXT, and he still has it on the main roster. There's nights where you're like, man, he nailed that perfectly, and he needed to for that spot to work. And then there's nights where you're like, ooh, I don't know, man, you're messing up an awful lot. Like his timing will be off. But I think that there's a big market for Kalisto. Dean Ambrose, I don't think he needs to lose at this point, but the League of Nations, you're putting him over, but for who, though, Bala? You know what I mean? That's my question. At whose expense are they getting put over for? They're not going to do it
for their own. They're trying to make them a serious stable, but I don't think the fans are buying it, man. I'm not buying it.
Right. Go ahead, Greg. What do you got?
Just to be there. Oh, sorry.
No, Bala, finish, because I want to build on what you said. Go.
I was finished. Yeah, I feel they're there just to be there, just so they can have a stable of heels together,
Well, let me give you my thought on all of that, all right? And I'm going to try not to do the Dana Carvey, George Bush thing with the pointers. When it comes to the League of Nations, I look at those maniacs and I see a SNL parody of that whack Sean Connery movie, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's just weird and out of place and doesn't belong. Those guys don't need to be together. They need to be beating the hell out of each other. And if they were going to do a League of Nations, then the way to do it should have been with some people who are capable ass kickers. Like, you keep Sheamus in, you keep Del Rio. Wade Barrett was cool as Bad News Barrett. Should have left him out of it. Throw Kevin Owens in the mix. You know what I mean? And to answer what you touched about Kalisto, let me tell you something. What you said about Sin Cara. What messed up Sin Cara was the original one being a punk. And second of all, Rey Mysterio's refusal, in my opinion, to defer to the youth coming up. If Rey Mysterio would have let this guy live a little bit more, just maybe there would have been a little more pop for Sin Cara. But then the fact that everybody knows it's not the original guy, and now, I like Kalisto. I think he needs to break away from the whole tag team thing now, because he's shown us something that we haven't seen since Who's That Jumping Out the Sky, R.E.I., and I'm liking it a lot.
But then what are you going to do with Sin Cara? Because do you feel he's not as over as Kalisto right now? If they break up the Dragons,
finish a match with a dislocated shoulder, clearly he's not the Sin Cara of old. I think what you could do with Sin Cara is maybe, just maybe at this Royal Rumble, somebody comes through the crowd and clocks Del Rio when the ref isn't looking and lets Kalisto win, just because it happened to cause Kalisto to lose. So let Kalisto get revenge with some outside interference at the Rumble and win the belt back and win the rubber match. And then Del Rio could win it back at Fastlane or WrestleMania, and it's cool because now
win it back.
Kalisto.
Yeah, perhaps I don't know. Perhaps you could be getting into the hot potatoes stuff with the title. Too much back and forth.
I know it's a stretch, and I'm sorry, because fans like you and me will say, "Oh, we've seen this already with Booker T and Benoit multiple times in multiple leagues," but it's fresh for 2016 if you do it that way and add some extreme matches in between.
Yeah, switch it up. I like to see Del Rio and him in a ladder match eventually. Maybe at Extreme Rules, if they could get to that point with it. That'd be something I'd like to see. We'll move on from that match. We have Big E versus Jey Uso, but before we get into that match or whatever, I have to talk about that trombone segment. The New Day is pure gold. I love New Day. The Francesca trombone, after Jericho broke it last week and they're sitting there crying.
Can we have a moment of silence for the trombone?
Say it again, Bala. I'm sorry.
I said, can we have a moment of silence for the trombone? I forget the name. I apologize.
Trombone.
Francesca, they were calling it. Francesca the trombone.
The trombone.
Yeah.
And it's TROM.
I liked it, and I like that New Day picked up the victory here. Worries me for Sunday when we get into the predictions later, but I thought it was an okay match. I mean, what do you guys think about New Day and the Usos right now? Let's kick it to Greg first on this one.
All right. For the record, I was going to kick it to Bala just because of chain of command. But let's go. My thoughts on the New Day is when it first came out was like a year ago or so, and they were doing the whole gospel thing. I said, if I wanted to watch Amen, I would turn on Centric. And then they became bad. And like my girl is, look, you know, when you first start watching wrestling, your girl is like, oh, I don't like it. And they either, one or two things happen. They either fall in love with Randy Orton or they hate somebody like Rusev or somebody else. My girlfriend can't stand Big E because she says his thighs are disgusting. I'm shaking his ass and going, they rocks. It's the most hilarious thing. She gets up, oh God, he's ugly, and I die laughing, and it makes it fun. Now I don't have to hear crap because I watch wrestling for 3 hours, and she watches with me just so she can go, oh God, I hate it. Even when I play WWE 2K16 on the PlayStation 4, which is a better video game system, and she goes, oh God, is that big? Oh God, I don't want to see him. He's ugly, and they get you in so many ways. And I'm happy for Kofi Kingston, who I thought if he didn't pop some type of way, should have been fired like 2 years ago, you know, and it's like he's doing something relevant now, and who knows what could happen. And how about Xavier Woods come a long way from Austin Consequences Creed in TNA, right?
Yeah, I think Xavier is the definition of hard work. This guy barely works, and he on the outside he's so entertaining. He doesn't really even have to take too many bumps. Like he would be a great manager, I think, in the future if he ever wanted to do something like that. Perfect role for him.
Maybe he's the new Jimmy Hart.
Absolutely. Bala, what do you think about the Usos?
The Usos are entertaining. How long do you keep them, you know, doing that same Uso gimmick? I feel they can do that for a little longer, but then eventually it's going to get stale. But I like to comment on the New Day. I like it gives Kofi, Big E, and Xavier something to do, because it seemed creative didn't know what to do with them for a while now, and now that they paired them up, I feel like this is really gonna get them going somewhere. Xavier Woods reminds me of like an anime character, man. He's like, you know, life and energetic.
He has that Kameyama effect, you're right.
Yes. Well, my thing with New Day is this. Before I end this talking point, I'm just going to say the CM Punk quote. When you say F it, that's when the best quality comes out, because you just don't care anymore. They're like, well, either we're going to get fired or we go out there and just do what we want and have fun. And now that they're having fun, it translates to the fans and the people like it. And I think that's just tremendous for them. And I'm happy for all three guys. I was a fan of them, and I wanted them to do more with them.
I've got 4-year-olds in my house that go, Jay rocks. Jay rocks. It's hilarious, man.
What was the next match? Okay, I got a rant to start this one. Mark Henry, Neville, R-Truth, Titus O'Neil versus, they defeated the Ascension, Stardust, and Tyler Breeze. And next to it on my show notes, I have WTF. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of a rant real quick on this. Now, I understand it was Martin Luther King Day, and they did the whole thing with Neville. That's great, fine and dandy. But when I see this group of guys, this is what I call wasted talent. Why did you ever bring up the Ascension and Tyler Breeze to have them doing this garbage? Tyler Breeze's best part about him is his entrance, and you don't ever show his entrance. You've never let him beat anybody. Why did you bring him up? You were better off leaving him in NXT and having him do jobs down there. I don't get why they brought this guy up for this garbage. And to read the reports that Vince McMahon doesn't believe in him, it's clear as day for fans who've been watching long enough that you know Vince doesn't believe in him. He lost to Dean Ambrose in his first match. He continued to lose. He lost to Dolph Ziggler. What's the point of this guy coming up just to do jobs? There's no point of bringing a character up to lose all the time. This kid is too talented, and he deserves better.
On Amazon, mp3.com. I think that's what his goal is, to get on Billboard with the theme song.
I don't understand. I mean, it's catchy to me, but I just didn't see the point of having these guys do the job. Like, when the Ascension comes back down to NXT, they are treated as gods almost. Like, it's so weird to see boo or people sitting on their hands when they come out, but on NXT when they're stomping someone and you just hear, yeah, like, I don't get it. I don't understand the
thing with the Ascension is maybe they feel they got too many tags going on, and like guys like the New Day or the Usos, they're put on a much higher pedestal because they're more over with the fans. But I don't blame the Ascension for that because they don't give them any time to get over. You know what I mean?
To me, Vince McMahon is treating them like broken toys, though. Like, okay, Tyler Breeze is done. I tried to play with him for 2 weeks, and he's just boring to me. I'm done with this. And it was the same thing. Once the Ascension got beat up by the APA, Vince got what he wanted from the whole situation. So what was the point? Instead of making the Ascension the badasses they need to be in the old school tag team they needed to be, it just frustrates me to no end. Go ahead, Greg.
They should have. I'm sorry. It drives me nuts. There has been, if you love tag team wrestling the way I love it, then at least one chamber in your heart has been dead ever since Hawk died. For these guys to come in, I was so excited, because to see their look, and it took me back to my childhood with, here comes the axe, then comes the smasher, like Demolition, Road Warrior, welcome to the wasteland. And you just knew they were going to do something, and then to put them in a meaningless feud with a goddamn TV announcer was just stupid. By a bunch of, steroid popping, used to be drug addicts, but I can't get the drugs anymore, so you might as well make me a booker. Because we're friends today. I'm sick of it. And then you drop these young guys that could make a lot of money for you and go. And I know a lot of those stars that are signed to that company would say some shit about it, but they can't. And Ric Flair stated that too. He's like, I can't criticize the company because my daughter works for it and I'm paid for it, so I can't criticize it. And I agreed with some of the things he said earlier about don't be too critical because of the injuries. But great, if you're going to bitch about, we can't do this and that because John Cena's hurt and everybody else is hurt, so then why don't you give the Ascension a shot? How shocking would it be if Tyler Breeze won the goddamn Royal Rumble? It would be more shocking than when Jericho won the Undisputed Championship and everybody be going, what? I mean, but there isn't that type of thinking in creative. And I don't know, maybe I need to resurrect Patrice or get what's his name, Freddie Jr. to come back and write or something. I don't know. Or King Lenny. King Lenny maybe needs to come back,
Foley's son's supposedly a writing assistant now. Maybe he can get the chance to write some of the stuff and make it better. I think they can do a lot more creative stuff. It just saddens me what they do with some of these guys. But final segment, the best part of the night, I will say, the highlight, the only thing you probably really need to check out on Raw, and it's the Chris Jericho highlight reel segment. Paul Heyman comes out. Paul Heyman basically sells us the Royal Rumble because he is the man at doing that. Exactly. Paul Heyman knows, though, the basics of why do I need to order this pay-per-view, what am I going to see, and this is what I'm telling you is going to happen. This is what I promise you will see. And he's giving you the sell for the Rumble. Who comes out? Roman comes out first, does the stare down. Lesnar comes out, vice versa. I don't remember exactly how it went down. They have their little showdown with the spear that you brought up before, Bala, which was awesome. You have so many other things that went down. And we also have the situation where Bray Wyatt stands tall at the end of the night, which I thought was very different. It was very interesting to have that happen.
Because now they're actually making him exciting again. You know, as of late, when you see Bray Wyatt, you're like, oh, he's probably just going to put somebody over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, don't bash me for this. But he's another victim of John Cena, man. He had that feud with Cena. I just put him to a dead stop. He was gaining so much momentum. Then when he had that feud with Cena, I just stopped him, man.
Yeah, he got fed to the Cena monster.
Let me tell you something. I am sick and tired of people blaming John Cena. It's not Cena's fault. If you're going to blame anybody, blame the creative. It's not Cena's fault that the creative won't have the guts, as Mick Foley would say, the testicular want to give Bray Wyatt a chance.
But you can't really blame creative because even when Wade Barrett was coming up, I hear Wade Barrett was supposed to win that match with the Nexus, but John Cena didn't want to lose.
Correct. I think this. Let me say this. You have to know in WWE that the top guy has power. John Cena had the power to say, no, I'm not going to beat Bray Wyatt. I'm going to lose to him tonight. John Cena never once said that, I bet, at WrestleMania. John Cena was like, I'm going over. Do, 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 do. And he knew, because he knows it's a business. It's Hogan style. Hogan ain't putting too many people over. You know what I mean? Just because. He was like, no, you're eating the legs out tonight, brother. And that's it.
Money. That was different. That was over money. John Cena makes more money than Hogan ever did.
Well, I'm saying John Cena, his money is guaranteed. John Cena could go in there and just say, you know what? I'm going to put you over. The thing I don't think they get is the more you put someone over, the more people you'll have to wrestle. Versus you just beat everybody, and I'm like, well, everyone's a joke.
But why put someone over if they're not going to give you what John Cena gives you? John Cena doesn't say no.
So when you give them a chance to do so, you know?
At 11 p.m. to go to Hawaii or to go to tribute to the troops, and the other guys won't do it. I thought it was cool that they gave Roman Reigns the props. They gave Roman Reigns the props for doing what he did. He didn't have to do that India thing, and he did it. And he came over there, and he did what he did best with Big Show. Maybe they wouldn't have got that out of CM Punk, and that was the story that wasn't told on the, the podcast and everything. Some of these guys aren't willing to do what these guys that have been champion and know what it takes are willing to do for it. It's not just about being on TV. It's about what you do behind the scenes as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying John Cena is not the top guy. I just think he can help other guys. I think he hurts more than he helps sometimes.
Well, I agree, but it's not his fault. It's not his. See, this is what and I think you and I talked about this a few years ago on the phone. John Cena suffers from Hulk Hoganitis, only it happened in 5 minutes, where it took 5 years for people to get tired of Hogan. After 5 years of dominance, like, oh God, we know what's going to happen. He's going to have an epileptic seizure. He's going to punch you 3 times, put his foot in your face, and then leg drop you and pin you. Hulkamania wins, rip it off. And then with John Cena, it happened in like 2 years. It was like, oh God, it's the 5 moves of doom. And I mean, can you blame him that kayfabe killed the art of shh? And plus, John Cena got dubbed Superman. Not to mention he didn't help himself by talking shit about Dwayne Johnson. And, you know, if you're a person that grew up like I did, you're like, why does this piece of shit get the pin to Rock but Hulk didn't? You know?
Right.
For Hulk to twice at the Toronto, you know, Sky Dome, Superdome, Sky Dome, right?
Yeah.
And it was a little disheartening to me. And so I feel like as a fan of champions that came before, John Cena has extended privileges that were not deserved.
Absolutely. And respect is earned by the wrestling fans in today's business. Guys, that's going to conclude the Raw review. The next thing we're going to talk about real quick is NXT from last week. Tomorrow there will be a new episode for NXT on the WWE Network. But real quick, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it. Right now, for the number 1 contenders, we have 3 guys who were all arguing who's going to go against Finn Balor next. We had Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, and Baron Corbin. You guys see any of them being the next one to face Finn Balor or take the belt from him? What do you got, Bala?
I say just bring Sammy up. Just bring him up already to the main roster. He doesn't need to be in NXT any longer. Who else you said? Baron Corbin?
Joe and Baron Corbin.
I'd say give Joe the shot.
So you want to see the rematch?
Yeah, I want to see the rematch. Another thing is, too, it gives Joe a little bit more time, you know, in NXT. And I feel you could bring Sammy and this dude, Finn, up. I think it's time they've been brought up. They've been there long enough, and I think they've proven themselves more than, like, you need to. So I say bring them up and just give Joe the shot.
And what do you do with Baron Corbin then as well?
I'd stick him in a feud. I think that'll really help him right now.
Yeah, I think he's almost ready for the world title. Baron, I will say this, and I've said this every single time, Baron Corbin is hands down the most improved wrestler in 2015. From where he started with the 30-second matches to where he became now, Baron Corbin has improved greatly. Nothing but respect for that guy.
Can I say something and give you my perspective on Baron Corbin?
Go ahead.
Just to be a yang to the yang, I liked it the first time when you called it test. This is a test. No, but I'm not dissing him. I'm just saying that when I see Baron Corbin, I get excited because it hurt my heart when Andrew succumbed to drugs and died. And much like it hurt Kelly's heart. And when I see this dude, all I see is, God, if Tess stayed off the goddamn pills, this is the son of a bitch in the chamber at Fastlane. You know?
Yeah.
See, put him in a chamber at Fastlane.
I see tremendous potential with this Baron Corbin character. The thing I think that they're still trying to teach him is the humbleness. I think that he's very cocky, and I like that in his attitude. You got to have that a little bit in wrestling.
So was Mark Callis back in the day. Put the guy in the chamber at Fastlane, okay? Stick him, you know, Brock Lesnar just got, you know, obliterated by the Wyatt family. How about Heyman recruits some new assholes to join him? How about he recruits Corbin and Samoa Joe or something? It would make sense, and not like the stupid Ryback thing, you know?
Yeah.
But do you make them, like, do you put them in a team kind of like what are they?
I don't want them to be.
Do you put them like the League of Nations, or do you have them singles?
Let them be singles. I don't want them to be Benjamin and Haas, okay? Because that was done with Angle and Brock back in. Let these guys be like some enforcer dudes who really kick ass and wrestle. And you got two things that are elements of Brock. Samoa Joe represents the wrestling element of Brock. Baron Corbin represents the fucking football player that Brock failed to achieve. You know, the NFL. You know what I mean? They can relate because they both made it and got cut. You know what I mean? So that is a realistic element that creative doesn't have the balls or the brains to think about. It's like, then you go, oh, this is natural because Baron comes from the NFL and Samoa Joe just kicks ass all over the place. That's a dominant. That's your League of Nations, but you call it something else. You see?
Perhaps. I mean, they kind of took that route of them being a team in the main event picture on NXT a couple of times.
I'm saying BOD, Beast of Destruction, something crazy like that. And you got three of those dudes snapping necks and cashing checks.
Well, would you have them help Brock, or would you have them there for themselves?
No, you have them protect Brock, and then they do some dominant shit where, like, let him hold the tag team belts and the Intercontinental and U.S. Championship belt, and it's like, you can't beat these guys. Now, what are you going to do with my faction, my reigning, defending, undisputed faction? I mean, it would be hilarious, and it's, you know.
That I like it. That's a little bit of a different idea, something interesting to look at. I would do it a lot differently. I think you keep Joe alone. I think Corbin alone, and even Sami Zayn alone. And I have different plans for all of them. What I would do, I'll save that for another time. I'm gonna jump into the next match that happened. It was Tommaso Ciampa versus Danny Burch. Not too much of a match. Tommaso Ciampa's growing on me. I've seen his Ring of Honor work, but he's an okay guy, pretty good wrestler. It was more of a squash match, an enhancement match. So you got to know him. I don't know if it's for Evolve or if he's trying out for NXT. That's one of those wishy-washy situations. I don't know how the working relationship is. Who else wrestled? Dash and Dawson defeated the Ascension. Okay match. Dash and Dawson are like the modern day brainbusters, so I'm cool with it. They don't really do too much. Elias Sampson, or is it Samson? Yeah. Boring gimmick. The guy with the guitar. It's horrible. I don't know what that crap is. He's like the honky tonk man. That's all he is. He's a modern day honky tonk man.
Honky tonk man.
His finishing move was the shake, rattle, and roll. It was horrible. If I had to repackage this guy, I would put him in a tag team with Damian Sandow and make him give Damian Sandow the smart guy intellectual gimmick he had, and make this guy his silly cousin or something who comes up with him. Like, I don't know, you got to come up with a goofy name, but like Marty Sandow, and he comes up and Damian's like, oh no, I do not want this guy around. He's like, yeah, I made it out of wrestle school and WWE gave me a contract. I'm here to be your partner.
Pothead. Make him a pothead.
You could just make him a fool. You don't even have to say what it is.
Yo, Damian, man, let's get these belts, man. Let's do it, man.
So you want him like animals? You want him like a Steve Blackman and Al Snow kind of gimmick?
Yeah, like I want them to be opposite of each other. And the smart guy, so there'll be times where he outsmarts Damian Sandow. Sandow just be like, oh, I hate this dude, and they're the tag champs.
Now, you had to bring up Sandow. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and you could say, Doc, shut up, or what. But this is my opinion on Damian Sandow. How about you make Lenny Poffo his goddamn manager?
I think it would be something interesting. It's better than Macho Mandow.
That was stupid. You make the genius his manager, and he comes out. All you perpetrators in the WWE beware. He write a poem every time, and then you make Damian Sandow like Brock Lesnar. He shuts the fuck up and let the manager do what he does. Give Lenny some light that he deserved, because he was the most underrated and underused guy in the history of the business.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with Poffo managing him. I think Sandow's a great speaker, though, too. I think he's very intellectual. I don't even know if he needs a manager, but maybe it'll enhance his character.
each other poetically, almost like a white preppy sort of EPMD, like an Eric and Parrott. They could finish these other sentences like, "Your training is complete. Your time is now arisen." And then Damian goes, "The World Wrestling Heavyweight Championship is soon how we'll be living." I mean, it would be hilarious. And they could do that. Yeah.
I like it the more you pitch it. When you pitch it that way, it sounds good. Go ahead, Bala.
We come back, we go to Sandown now. Another victim of John Cena.
This is the John Cena victim show.
I do it.
I think Bala's calling your man John Cena fraudulent, Doc. I don't know. He's not.
John Cena is not my man. I left him. Okay.
The main event for that NXT show was a Divas Battle Royal. Actually, over the top rope. Holy smokes! Who would have thought girls could go over the top rope in NXT? We saw two things play out. Mainly, we saw Eva Marie come out, and I like how when Eva Marie does her slow walk to the ring, Asuka comes out and she's like, "Screw this, I'm coming out." And she comes out, the mask shows up behind Eva, and then she comes behind her and shoulders her. And you know, we're all from New York. You know, getting shoulders the ultimate disrespect. So I like the lead up for that. That'll be a good match between two of the top females in NXT. One heel, one face, and Carmella wins overall. What did you guys think of Carmella getting the win to face Bayley, her best friend?
Bala, you go on this one. I'm not gonna be in it.
Okay. Go ahead, Bala.
I like it. I felt Carmella needed a push. I feel this is the right move. Hopefully she wins. You know what I mean? The match. And
I don't think she's ready. I think that Bayley gets a victory. I think you put Bayley over, and it was just Carmella puts up a good fighting effort, and it's just not her time yet.
But Bayley's another one I think that needs to go up already. You know what I mean?
To do what? 2-minute matches like Natalia?
No, Bayley needs to have a nose contest with Triple H is what she needs to have. But I'm going to tell you something, all right? Let's talk about something. I don't mean to be Humpty Hump, but I'm going to use a word that don't mean nothing, all right? Nia Jax, okay? It's called Weight Watchers.
Oh, come on, man. No, I like Nia Jax.
And I like the two. Okay? And I'm going to tell you something. I want Nia Jax to be all she can be. She's got to go on Nutrisystem for at least 3 months.
Her weight kind of fits. I feel like she's like another Karma. You know what I mean? She's this big.
That was bad karma, okay? What we want is her. I'm not saying she has to be like one of these stupid, because you know me, I love my plus size women. I love them, love them to death. But what I'm saying is, I'm a dude that Kevin Hart. Boo-boo, what you need to do, lose 40, or at least lose a little in the stomach, all right? Get Dwayne to do that stomach surgery he had on himself, something. But boo-boo, you got to lose a little bit, because
I think that plays to Nia Jax's look, though. I like it. I think she needs to stay in the all black. Don't put her in the blue or anything that's going to make her look ridiculous. But I like her mean streak. I like her look. I think she's very pretty in the face. She's easy on the eyes. I mean, if that's what you're into. But I think she brings something different to the table. And I know on the inside that worries her weight and everything. Because you know Vince McMahon likes his women and his wrestlers cut up. So that's always going to play in her mind.
Show, you know what I mean? It's wrestling. It's not a fucking beauty pageant.
I think good. And I apologize if I, offended you gentlemen by saying that she's not pretty. I'm not saying she's not pretty. What I'm saying is I felt like, and I'm going back a little bit, that title match against Bayley, I felt like Bayley kind of carried her a little bit, and I felt like Bayley gave a lot more than she did. That's all I'm saying. And as a result, it made it unrealistic because Bala, you still in New York City. If that match happens in real life, she kicks the shit out of Bayley and it's over. So I'm like, and I just felt like she didn't do enough to make it look like a realistic victory for Bayley in that match. Is that an accurate statement?
Could that be because she's green? I mean, she's still relatively new. Think about it. She made her debut not too long ago. I thought it was kind of fast for a title shot.
Yeah, no, it was. They should have waited a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
to you gentlemen, because you're right. Maybe it's because she's green. But it felt like a female Romaning. Like, you're pushing this bitch out there too fast. Pump your brakes, WWE NXT.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to get into a tweet that was sent out. I'm going to read the tweet verbatim because it has since been deleted. At Bronson WWE, and that's Josh from Tough Enough, if you guys don't know. That's his new name, I guess, is Bronson. Tweeted, "Yup, ... I like it, ... hashtag social jobbers." Basically, after tweeting that, after Raw was over, he got a tongue lashing from Kevin Owens, Stardust, a.k.a. Cody Rhodes, and Bull Dempsey. And they basically called them some not so nice names that I don't want to repeat on this show, and basically told him that he's going to be getting dressed in the hallway like The Miz when he comes to the main roster. And I want to know, do you guys think that someone that is a new rookie using words like jobbers and stuff, is it an overreaction by the wrestlers? What do you guys think of it?
I don't think he meant any harm when he said it. I think he just said it being playful, you know. But I think there should be a little punishment, but they shouldn't, you know.
I mean,
I felt they overreacted.
Bala, can I put you out on Front Street a little bit here about your business? I know you actually trained to be a wrestler. I'm not going to say everything else with it, but is that a no-no with you guys, like to use insider terms? I mean, does that offend people when you guys do that, or what? Give me some backstory on that a little bit.
Well, it's not the most appreciated, to say the least.
I mean,
So
what
happened?
You used to be a wrestler?
I'm training.
training to be? I don't know if he wanted that out on Front Street, so.
See it because you have a hot body.
Yeah. So, Greg, let me ask you, what do you think about another wrestler? I know you're in the music industry. Do people get offended by things like this in your industry? And how do you think this relates to wrestling? I mean,
listen, you're asking a person associated with the KRS 1 PM Down beef if people get offended by what the fuck you say. I'm like, how soon we forget? But no, listen, here's the deal. I think that the Kevin Owenses and the Stardust of the world wrestling entertainment are in the right. There is a chain of command and things you don't do. I mean, if you work for the post office and you tell somebody and you take a picture of your coworker and go, this bitch needs to get her weave fixed, you get fired the next day. They say, turn in your ID, turn in the keys to your car, turn in your benefits card, get the fuck out. The same thing should apply. There is a level of professionalism, a code of conduct that needs to be followed. And I think everybody's guilty, but nobody more than the guy who said what he said first. And, but the guys lashing out at him, that would have been that wrestling court that Undertaker was the judge of back in the day. And I just feel like that shows there's a lack of locker room leadership.
Absolutely. Well, and once again, the disconnect. I think our themes tonight are the disconnect between NXT and WWE and John Cena buries everybody. But The main thing is the disconnect. He's down in Florida training. He's not even on NXT yet. This kid. He won Tough Enough. He doesn't know any better. He came from the NFL. This is one of those weird things. I had a phone conversation with my buddy earlier, who will be on the show next week, and we went back and forth about this because at one point I'm like, well, if ZZ said this, would it be a problem? And this would have been even worse, and people would have been trying to hate on ZZ, or the ZZ fans would have came to his rescue. With Bronson or Josh, whatever you want to call him, I think that he's paid his dues as an NFL football player, and he's done his stuff that I don't know if he should have been lashed out against for this. But at the same token, he has to be respectful because this isn't he's getting into this industry, and these guys want to make sure that you are for real, you are legit, you are in this to do this because they're trusting you with their body.
Like I said, I don't think he meant any harm with it. I think he was just being playful. But what he said wasn't that right. But I don't feel like he meant any disrespect to anybody,
Bala, if I can just say this, all right? I don't mean any disrespect, but you look a lot like that guy that didn't get the girl in the Twilight series. The wolf dude that cut his hair.
Right?
It makes him mad, and he wants to get at me a little bit. He wants to bite me now.
Man, that guy,
No, but look, there was no forum, this podcast, and so that's my point. There was no need to say it unless you're doing it for some goofy shock value that's not necessary.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, it's one of those things when you're at work, and have you ever heard when someone says something like, no offense, but when you start your sentence off with that, that's not a good thing. Like, this is going down the wrong hill already, so you don't start off saying that.
Why do you guys put lemon pepper on the extra crispy bucket? Oh, it's the same thing.
Absolutely. So I'm 50-50 on this one. That's one of those weird things that I really can't say anything about. Guys, I'm going to switch up gears tonight, and we're going to switch from WWE for just one segment. I got two more things that I want to talk about. First thing here is Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling. What do you guys think of the current state of Impact Wrestling? I'm just going to keep it basic like that, and I'm going to ask some follow-up questions. I have nothing really too much written down about it, but what do you guys think of where TNA is now on Pop TV and everything else they're trying to do? Do they have enough to survive? Bala,
I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did. To be honest with you.
Say it again?
I said, I'm surprised that they've lasted as long as they did. I would have thought they'd been out of business a year ago. But I don't see them lasting very long. I give them about another year and a half. I mean, it's not what it used to be, man. It's not.
Go ahead, Greg. I want to hear your thoughts on Impact Wrestling or TNA, whatever you want to call it.
I'm like, thank you, Bala. Thank you, Bala. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, man. All right? Bala, you're the Joseph Gordon-Levitt of this program, and I love you. Now, here's what I'm saying. My anger with TNA, all right? Why in the bloody blue fuck is Ethan Carter III a goddamn champion? Why is Matthew Hardy pouring his family out, all right? I'm so sick of Maxwell, all right? I'm sick of all of the aspects of that, all right? Why is a wasted segment between Bobby Roode and James Storm? Yes, I forced myself and all four of my eyes to watch that shit. I'm sorry if I can't say the word. I'm sick. Listen, I feel like Vince McMahon, all right? Back in 2002. I'm going to kill my creation. That's what I would do if I was Dixie Carter. I'm like, look, sometimes I just wish that Jeff Jarrett would bang somebody else's wife just so it could breathe life into the storyline. And first of all, why the fuck did he come back to win King of the Mountain?
So disappointed when I seen him in NXT. I marked, man. And that's what happened.
It's so many whys. Why is Jeff Hardy even getting a check, right? Why did they let Sting go? Because they let Sting go and look what happened to him, dear God. He got exposed in every way from the 3 bald spots on down. It's just horrible. Why? And I say why. I knew they were fucked when Hogan and Bischoff joined and they turned 6 sides into 4. And I said, oh shit. And I turned it off and I left it off.
Making them distinctive was that drink.
Left it off.
Well, let me say this. I think that when TNA went to the 4 sides, it was good. The last time TNA was really exciting to me and I thought they were on the edge of something good was when Austin Aries cashed in his X Division title against Bobby Roode. I never thought a TNA pay-per-view was so good. That match was awesome, I felt, between those two, and it sold me on the fact that I'm like, man, anything can happen in TNA. Aries is the man. He's my favorite wrestler.
I'll never forgive them for getting rid of Sharpe Boy and Curry Man.
No. Curry Man and Shark Boy were the best. But all right, guys. So TNA is. Let's just say you're giving TNA. Dixie Carter hires you, and she hires you as a consultant. Give me 3 things you would do that would make TNA better right now. That you would do. Bala, you go first, and then Greg. That'll make you watch.
But first things first, man. First, I can't even speak. That tournament for the world title was complete garbage. I think, correct, last time I watched it, EC3 was champion. He shouldn't be champion. He's great, but he shouldn't be champion. I don't know what can you do with TNA? Can you do anything? I apologize if I'm being harsh, but I think it's just time to pull the plug, man.
It's time to
I don't know the channel they're on. I can't find it on my TV.
So Ball is saying pull the plug. Greg, what do you think? Can TNA save itself in any way, shape, or form?
Okay, you said to give me 3 things, right?
3 things.
Okay, before I get to those 3 things, I'm going to go get another 40 ounce from the fridge. I'll call him Greg White podcast. Hang on.
With TNA Impact Wrestling, I think they've had several chances. Bala, I would agree. The hardest thing, I guess, will be for me to think of is what you actually do with it. I mean, I think TNA and GFW joining together would be one of the best things, first of all. That you could have Dixie gives up control to Jarrett. Let Jeff Jarrett book it. Let Jeff Jarrett use your dad's money and let Jeff Jarrett make you money without you being involved. I don't know what her obsession is with being involved with all this stuff is. She doesn't need to do all that.
You know what I mean? She wants to be the boss in control.
Let me give you okay? Here's the 3 things that need to happen immediately. First of all, I get Dixie pregnant. The second thing, she's so hot. The second thing, okay? She is. Don't lie, she is. She's like Kirstie Alley, but, you know.
No comment. No comment on this.
No, all right. Now, the second thing that needs to happen, okay? We need to give a blank check to Phil fucking Brooks. You understand me? Phil Brooks needs a blank. I'm sorry. I'm about to be stalked by a woman who heard me say something that I didn't say, and you guys are witnesses. But anyway, but like I said, we need to give a blank check to Phil Brooks, and hopefully he picks it up and writes a number before he gets obliterated in UFC.
They couldn't pay him enough. I think he'd rather get his ass whooped in UFC than help TNA, to be honest with you.
To get his ass whipped, and that's the sad part. At the end of the day, I believe something Samoa Joe said, that deep down he wants to come back. I would love to see him main event WrestleMania 33 with Samoa Joe, and hopefully, like Brock, when he got his ass handed to him by Cain Velasquez and Alistair Overeem, those multiple ass kickings will say, I want to go home now. But I don't know if it'll do it, because CM Punk seems like he needs to get his ass kicked a little bit more. And I'm not picking on him because I love him. And I saw him when he came to Mississippi. And he looked at me, but he had that look in his face like, don't bother me, motherfucker. And I just walked out of his way because I could tell he was unstable and he wasn't happy and everything. But I would love for him. He's a guy that needs to be like this year, this day and age Hogan going to WCW. And it would be relevant because of who he made himself prior, more than anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's a long shot of ever happening, like Bala said.
Said the same thing about Hogan in WCW, though, in the early 90s.
Yeah.
He was acting. He wasn't doing UFC.
Yeah, that's a tough call. I mean, in my opinion, TNA's dead in the water. I don't think they're going to be able to do this. As long as her dad's writing the checks, though, I think she's going to be fine. She's going to be able to stay afloat. But for how long before Dad gets tired of writing those checks for her? And, guys, the last thing I wanted to talk about, we're going to do some Royal Rumble predictions, round robin style real quick. I want to hear who's right, who's wrong, and we could talk mess after for who was right and who was wrong. First match we're going to get into here is the tag title match. We got the New Day versus the Usos. Bala, we're going to start with you each time, and then we're going to go down the line. Bala, who are you taking for this match?
I got the New Day, and I feel they're going to win off some sneaky shit, man.
Yeah?
You know?
So you think New Day takes the win?
Yeah, New Day.
Greg, who do you got winning that tag team title match? The New Day?
Right now, I am so sick of the BS. How do you be handicapped half a year and win Superstars of the Year? The bottom line is the New Day retain and lose at Mania.
Hopefully, that's my plan. Hopefully they stick with it. I'm also going to say New Day retains the tag titles. I think that's the right decision to make. There should be something bigger in store for New Day to drop the belts at Mania and hopefully a tag TLC type of match. We'll see what they do with that. The next match, Divas title match. We have Charlotte versus Becky Lynch. Bala, who's taking it?
I'm going to say Charlotte.
Okay, Greg, who you got?
All right. I'm going to say something that's weird. And hopefully it makes sense. I'm going to say that Charlotte gets her ass handed to her, and Becky Lynch somehow attacks Ric Flair, and while she attacks Ric Flair, she is kicked in a very private area that rhymes with jetliner
China.
and rolls for a sunset flip pin by Charlotte.
So you think the dirtiest player is going to come into effect here?
This has to play out until WrestleMania. It has to.
I see this going into a match with Sasha Banks at Mania with Charlotte and possibly a triple threat. I don't think they know how they want to do it yet, but they're going to let them put on that NXT type of match. So I'm going to say Charlotte takes the win here as well. All three of us are agreeing so far. I think we're going to have some disagreements soon here. United States title match. Kalisto versus...
I'm saying right now, and I'm going to tell you why. The only way Sasha gets the belt is if they recreate the Evolution shit with Randy, where she wins the belt out of nowhere, and they get so mad that they beat the shit out of her and try to go for it. Team Bad.
Yeah.
War with Team Bad in Mania. That shit could go down at Fastlane.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think that you have to break up all those diva factions that you started.
This is corny.
Pointless. What were you saying?
Who?
You had your hand up. I thought you were about to say make a point.
Because it's corny. It's all corny. All the PCB. First of all, it was the submission sorority. Then they found out that was a pornographic thing online, so they that. And then they called them PCB. And that sounded like some new wave drug used through a microwave. So they had to break them up. It was just ridiculous, all right? They should have just had them come out and just beat the hell out of each other like the TNA knockouts do.
Absolutely. What was the next match? Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto. Who do you guys think's taking it? Bala, who do you got winning that one? U.S. titles on the line, too.
Shit. I really want to go with Kalisto, man. I do. That's a tough one, though, man.
See, Becky is a smart guy. WWE Creative is not. So we got to go Del Rio because it's smart to put the strap on Kalisto and let the shit carry out and conclude at Mania.
Kalisto would have never lost the title on SmackDown if it was up to me. But
exactly. Smart. You're an educated college graduate. And then some. Even though you're wearing a fucking Buffalo Bills cap, which I'm gonna, deal with you after the fact for, you're fucking with me because you know that you ended the Jets' season, and I'm a little pissed about that, Conrad. But that's a whole
Giants fan, so.
However, I'm just so thrown off by that hat. But all right, so here's the deal. All right, and fuck your little twin brothers coordinator coach thing. But anyway, my whole thing is this: it's going to blow up in their face.
What, the Del Rio push or the match that they're doing?
I think they're going to push Del Rio unnecessarily when they don't have to. Kalisto is the one that needs to be pushed. And I heard a dirty little rumor that Carlito is coming back. Maybe at the Rumble?
I heard that's part of Los Matadores getting repackaged.
I'm just making sure, because I know Primo is one of the Matadores, right?
Yes.
Yeah, go and Primo the Matadores.
I think they need to bring Carlito back, but if they do, then Alberto is going to lose.
That would be a better faction than all that other stuff. But maybe you just keep them as Puerto Rican bullfighters and let Carlito be one too.
How about George Lopez manage their asses? That would be fun. And then they come up to the theme song, Low Rider is a little higher.
And Vince McMahon gets called a racist again. You already know how that's going down.
You can't. If he got away with that Booker T line, he's going to get away with everything.
Touche, my friend. Touche. We have Kevin Owens. What were you saying, Ball?
I said, I bet if they knew they failed, they would have called Vince a racist, man. That's just how...
I was calling him a racist from the vignettes. Listen, tactfully, Vince McMahon has always portrayed... I don't want to say this. This is going to sound bad. He has always portrayed African-American wrestlers as the guys who are shucking and jiving. And I agree with Tony Atlas in some aspects of it's easier to be a black wrestler because your gimmick's already written for you versus being a white wrestler who has to come in and you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what you're going to be. But when you're a black wrestler, you're like, well, at least I can make this work. This is cool. All right, cool. I get music. All right. It depends, though, on the situation.
Because, you know why? Because Papa Shango, a.k.a. the Godfather, a.k.a. the Good Father, breaks that mold. And I'll tell you something else. I shouldn't even go there with this talk because I don't want to put anybody in trouble. Conrad knows what I'm talking about because I mentioned the guy's name, but I have a friend of mine who is in WWE right now, and I talked to him about racism in WWE. Okay? He's an active member on the roster. I'm not going to say his name because if I say his name, he'll kick my ass. Flat out. You know me, I'm not a punk, but I know when I got wins and I know when I don't. I don't got wins against this dude, so I'm going to respect what he said. However, he did say racism runs rampant in all of wrestling, and he also said that he does his best to make the most of his opportunities. And I learned not to be hard on African American wrestlers because of this, and Hispanic wrestlers because of this. Because at the end of the day, they're just employees, and they can only go so far when they're trying to make ends meet for their wives, sons, and daughters, you know?
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. And can I make a bold prediction right here? Quote this on episode 2, anybody? Apollo Crews will be your next African-American WWE champion. I'm going to leave it there. So, Dean Ambrose, Kevin Owens, Royal Rumble, last man standing match. I think this is going to open up the show. Who do you guys have winning the belt right now, though? I mean, does Kevin Owens get his belt back as precious as he's been acting like, or does Dean Ambrose ride out? Bala.
I'm going with Owens, man. I think they're trying to make him look strong. They're trying to make him look like a dominant heel. And I feel this win over Ambrose, as much as I love Ambrose, is my man. He's one of my favorite men on the roster right now. But I feel they're going to give the dub to Kevin.
Doc, who you got?
All right. I'm going to see Bala's vision. I was thinking of Charlotte's ex-husband. And I'm going to see Bala's vision. And I'm going to raise the stakes and say, yeah, they're going to pull a SummerSlam move, you know, where Seth Rollins loses the first match and then wins the next one. So I'm saying that Ambrose gets his fucking clock cleaned and loses the IC strap, only to screw his brother and become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
And I'm going to disagree with both of you, and I'm going to say that Dean Ambrose wins. Here is why. I think Dean Ambrose wins because, number one, Ambrose needs the belt, and it's not like WWE's ever respected the Intercontinental title enough recently. I mean, they've been trying to a little bit more, so I say Ambrose keeps the belt because I think there's something bigger in Kevin Owens' future. We can talk about that maybe for a second afterwards if we got a little bit of extra time. And Royal Rumble winner, Bala, lay it out. I know you said before. I want to know if you've changed your mind or if you're going to stay with that pick.
Yeah, I'm going Hunter, man. I got Roman starting off number 1. He's going to, by some luck, manage to beat the final 2 with him and Hunter. And I think Hunter's going to throw Roman over the top to win the Rumble.
I see what you're saying. I can see that playing out like the 1999 Royal Rumble with Vince and Austin, where Rock comes out, distracts Austin, and Vince just dumps one person out to win it. Greg, who do you have winning the Rumble? Are you sticking with Dean? You changing your mind up? What do you got?
Break down the whole Bala accusation. All right? Bala, I got love for you, man, and respect. But here's my take on why that should not happen, even though it might, because you are...
I just think that's what's going to happen.
All it takes is a goddamn sledgehammer to the face, and he flips over the ropes. And you're right. But here's my take on it. If that happens, and you have a WrestleMania event where, and I'm 43, and I don't like when people shit on me because of my age. So when people say, oh, you're going to put a fucking 46-year-old guy, I'm like, well, that 46-year-old guy is in better shape than 24-year-old guys. But here's my take on it. What if Triple H was the distractor and somebody else was the recipient of that distraction?
But for whom?
Well, you can pull a radical move and pull one of those Bullet Club fuckers in, like AJ Styles or somebody. What if they did some silly shit that you wouldn't expect and Sting buddied up with Triple H?
Can I give you my theory on one of those? I don't know if I mentioned it last week or not, but what if, you know how Triple H is cool with a lot of the NXT guys, and you see a lot of this? I'm throwing it up the Turkish Wolf. What if you see Samoa Joe come out and dump Roman Reigns? Now, here's the easy way to explain it all. Why did Samoa Joe do it? He's the only Samoan who never gets respect because he's not in The Rock's precious family. So Samoa Joe wanted the opportunity. He's a badass, and he's Triple H's assassin to take out Roman Reigns. It would shake a lot of shit up. It would make a big difference, I feel, if you let something like that happen.
I've been thinking about that, dude, and I just didn't have the balls to say it. So I got to give you kudos. I thought you guys would laugh me out the room if I said that shit, because Stone Cold has said all along, this guy deserves the green light push. He's been saying it for 3 fucking years, and nobody's been listening to him, and he's the visionary whose career was cut short, and he knows the business. Nobody's going to think that. So I get it. I got to give you the props on that.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go with. So I'm sorry, Greg. Who's your pick? So do you see? Are you sticking with Ambrose?
No, I'm not sticking with Ambrose. I'm sticking with Bray fucking Wyatt, because those evil fucks are the best thing since the Ministry of Darkness, and I feel like maybe Triple H could be that higher power. I don't know, or maybe Triple H wins because the Wyatt family holds Roman back and throws him out, and then they remove themselves, which would be even more sick and cryptic. So
I'm going to break it down real quick with WrestleMania in mind. There's only several guys I think that can honestly win this. You have Brock Lesnar. If Brock wins, we're probably going to see Brock versus Roman. Triple H wins, we're going to see Triple H versus Roman. Roman wins, we're going to see that. The wild cards right now, I think, could be Bray Wyatt winning this and Bray Wyatt taking over and feuding with someone else like a Brock Lesnar and let Roman and Triple H go at it. You also could do the surprise element of a Samoa Joe or a Bullet Club member, AJ Styles possibly, if he's available. I'm going to say right now none of those guys are available in my mind.
How about this? What if the ultimate shocker, and this is extremely far-fetched, what if Triple H made an offer to Daniel Bryan that he couldn't refuse and screwed Roman and made Daniel Bryan the champ?
I forgot all about Daniel Bryan.
Because his career is ending regardless because of the head concussions and everything. So why not have Daniel Bryan go heel and do what's in his heart and give it up and make Roman, which is virtually what he did after the Royal Rumble when they had that fight.
Absolutely. That's another different way you could go. What if he comes out, shaves the beard, goes corporate, wears the tie, has his hair slicked back, Shawn Michaels-esque? You could go that route as well. There's so many different ways you could go. If it's up to me, and I'm booking this as if I'm booking WrestleMania, Triple H and Roman can do their match at Fastlane. I say you go with the Samoa Joe. I say you go with all that other stuff. I think that you do Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. You could also go with The Undertaker is going to fight Kevin Owens, is what I believe is going to happen as well. I think that's what the big thing in Owens' picture is. And I don't know what you do with the Ambroses and all the rest of them yet, but I think you could switch up this Mania card to mean something. But since this is WWE's doing, I'm going to just go with a wild card for now, and I'm going to say that the winner will be Bray Wyatt. I'm going to stand on that one. He should win, but I don't know if they're going to do it. They teased it, and I don't like when they tease it on Raw right before.
I don't call it a tease because you know what? The same shit happened with the Nexus and the Core in one Royal Rumble, and they didn't do dick. So I don't think you should go by that.
Well, here's what I think is going to happen with Bray Wyatt, to be honest. I think his family's going to be in there. They're going to be dominating people. Then Brock's music's going to hit. Brock's going to come out like a house of fire and start beating people's asses. And eventually he's going to dump 2 or 3 of them out. And eventually something's going to happen where someone maybe doesn't see Bray get knocked out, or some devious stuff happens where they all run back in, and they're going to dump Brock out. And that's going to piss Brock off. He's going to say, at WrestleMania, I want a match with you, Bray Wyatt. And I'm going to destroy you for what you did. You cost my client his match. His WrestleMania main event, he was supposed to conquer that, and there you go. You got yourself a built-in match for Mania.
It's cool, but it's a refurbished version of Brock versus Taker at SummerSlam. You screwed me, and you're an evil bastard. I don't think they could get away with it this time because they boo him. I feel like Bray Wyatt needs to be... Let me tell you something. I wouldn't be surprised if Bray Wyatt won it, and then Bray Wyatt kicked Roman's ass at Mania. It would be... Okay, here's your comeuppance. Here's your, reward for not being a bitch when we screwed you so many times. The people want to cheer Bray Wyatt. People are trying to make him the new Undertaker when they love him the way they love Stone Cold. They don't care if he's good or bad. They just want him to kick ass and win and be the champion. And they're so stupid and clueless. This is the man that will sell the T-shirts, and you could put Bray Wyatt follow the buzzard cell phone cases on your iPhone 6s Pluses, and they're missing the point.
Yeah, they are. I agree with you. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. All he needs is wins. All he needs is that one big win to really lift them off.
Belt.
I feel like he could do a lot more with him.
Stop calling him Mankind. Stop calling him Undertaker. Call him Bray Wyatt. And then when he wins the belt, to really get people on the side, have Blackjack Mulligan and Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo come out and embrace him. Why not?
I don't know if that'll get away from his character too much, but I think what we're all saying is Bray Wyatt deserves better. I think that's something we can all agree on to end this show. Guys, I want to thank you both for coming on and being a guest, especially you, Doc. I know it was last minute we got you in here, but we had some technical difficulties in the beginning. I apologize for not starting on time, but we had to make some things happen. Bala, let the people know where they can find you at and where they can show you some love.
Snapchat, the Nelson Bala 33. Instagram at the Nelson Bala. I love you back.
No doubt. Doc, tell the people what projects you're working on and what you got going on and where they can find you and talk to you.
Right now, I'm working on a 40-ounce of Old English high 800 malt liquor. There it is. All right. Now the other thing I'm working on. All right. I have a song called Striping Goose. It's out. It's on Spectre Records. And if you want to buy it, that's cool. Buy it. If you don't want to buy it, just find a way to bootleg it and put it on the CDR. And when you come to my show, I will autograph it. It's okay. But what I'm saying to you is this. It's an honor and a privilege to be on this show. This is my first wrestling podcast. I am so stoked and excited. Conrad, Cushman, I love you very much.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
I'm gonna beat your ass in WWE 2K16 because my creative wrestling. Are you AJ Bryant?
No.
Who's AJ Bryant? Somebody is jumping into my career mode. And Bala, you know me. I'm DRG OFPMPAWN on the PSN network. It would be an honor to beat your ass in WWE 2K16.
Talking a whole lot of trash, but hopefully you can back it up, man. Let it go, man.
Definitely. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate both of you coming on. I like having real wrestling fans who can drop real knowledge. And anyone else who is watching or leaving a comment or that's on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you may see this, if you want to be on the show, contact me. Let me know. I like having a whole bunch of different guests. I like hearing different opinions. It's awesome. And next week I'm going to have a different guest on. I want you guys to come by, drop by, show some love, and I'm definitely going to have you guys back on again.
I'm going to try to Afro Man next week.
And I just need everyone to make sure they like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get a website up soon. If you have any feedback for me, let me know what you think I could be doing differently, what I could do to make the show better. Just give me some feedback, and I just want to say thank you, everyone, for the support. Our last video almost got 100 views. Let's get this one up to 200 for me. All right? Post it on Facebook, social media, whatever you need to do.
Conrad, this is for your Buffalo Bills hat. I made it.
You can talk to Rex. You can talk to Rex about that loss you guys took. All right? That's
I sprayed on this for you, baby.
Well, we won't listen to Greg because he's being a hater. Once again, thank you, gentlemen, for being on. I love you both. It was a good time on the show, talking wrestling as usual. And, folks, this is Everything Pro Wrestling. We are out.
Peace.